Hi guys, today I'm going to recap how I went about building this little pond and waterfall in my backyard. I'm just out in my backyard. I'm doing a little bit of a revamp here. I've got some crushed rock that I'm putting down here. We're trying to do a little bit of a patio down on the ground, just something to open up the backyard and give us more room to, enjoy it back here. And while I'm at it, I've had this idea of putting in a fountain for quite a while. So I actually started that, and I wasn't going to film any of this, but I figure if I'm putting in this much effort, maybe I might as well show what I'm doing. So 2 nights ago, I dug this great big hole in the ground, and I just lined it with some tarps, put some crushed stone around it. I started building up the waterfall rock feature thing that I wanted at the other end. Just winging this. I threw a little bit of crushed stone at the bottom with a garbage bag to plug the hole on one of the tarps and a little bit of sealant. We'll see if that holds water. I mean, I've got puddles around here that hold it pretty good, so with all the clay that's down there, hopefully it'll pack down enough. So now what I'm doing is I've got all these rocks that I pulled out of the garden. It's all grown in with grass there, but those are all bigger rocks that were in the garden. I've got a little pile over by the camper. I'm going to take those and I'm going to line the bottom of the essentially fountain with the little pond thing. And once I've got a little layer down, then I'm going to continue building up that rock feature at the end. I've got some bigger rocks way down at the bottom of the garden, at the end of the yard, that I've been saving for this. I don't know how many I have or how big I can get it, but I'm going to build up as much as I can, and if it's not big enough, I'll just keep finding more rocks and building it from there. I have a little bit of a base that I made. I don't know how stable it is, where I just wedged in some bigger rocks on the bottom, and I had a couple of concrete patio stones, smaller ones. I tucked those in there. Seems to be holding pretty good, and I actually stood on it and it held my weight, so I'm hoping that's going to be enough, but we'll see. Over the years it may fall, I may have to adjust it, but for now it's going to be a learning experience. So I'm just going to set up the camera, continue what I'm doing, and we'll see what it looks like. So I started filling the pond with rocks from the garden and arranged them as best I could to cover the sides and not roll down into the pool. This took quite a while as there were thousands of rocks. Next, I moved on to the bigger rocks and started stacking them to make the main waterfall feature. Okay, so I just taken a little break here. I've got the main structure pretty much how I want it to be. I just threw a hose on there to rinse off the rocks and to kind of give an idea of how the water is going to flow. I don't know what kind of flow I'm going to get from whatever pump I put on there, but I'll have a choice of where the water comes out and try to get the nicest effect I can. So far I kind of like how it's coming off right now. I just have it behind one of those top rocks. But yeah, it looks pretty good, and we should get more of a splash when there's more water. I'm just hoping mostly so that there's no standing water, so we'll cut down on the amount of mosquitoes that'll lay eggs in there. Definitely want to keep that water moving. So that's about it for tonight. I think I'm gonna take a break and give my back a break. I'm gonna build up just a little more in the back there on either side. I've got a ton of rocks still up front, left over from a couple of projects digging up my garden, that I may do a little more in the back and maybe even line all the outside of this this little pond, pit, fountain, whatever it is, with some bigger rocks. But we'll see. So far I'm pretty happy with that. It's probably going to settle over the winter and fall down. I'll have to rebuild it, and if I do, maybe I'll put a little bit of grout or something to kind of stabilize it, but only one way to find out. So far I'm pretty happy with the results. Next, I added a bit of waterproof foam insulation to fill some of the gaps and act as a bit of insurance, keeping the pile as stable as possible. Alright, it's been a few weeks since I started this project and I've been back here doing a lot of work. I moved all of the hydrangeas that I had here to the other side. I've also been busy with my garden. That's all wrapped up for the year, and I'm busy making a nice little area for us, a little seating area. But one thing I did notice is that leaving the water just sit here, it did start to seep down, so I'm definitely going to need a liner to stop that from leaking. I thought the tarps themselves would be enough, but obviously not yet, so I ordered one. So today's job is going to be to take all these rocks back out and get that liner put in, and let's see how much work that's going to be. So first I pump out the remaining water, then one by one remove the thousands of rocks again. This is actually the 4th time I've moved all these rocks since I dug them out of the garden, so it's not my favorite part of the project. Next I use the rake to find the edges of the tarp and pull it back. With the last of the rocks removed, I pulled the tarp back as far as I can and lay out the pond liner. I laid the tarp back on top of the liner and fold over the corners. Then I cover the edges again with crushed rock. And now the fun part, moving these rocks for the 5th time. This time I just tossed all the rocks into the middle of the pond, and the plan was to take a little break and restack them nicely another day. But then this happened. We got some rain and the weather turned cold and all the rocks were frozen in place. Well, I guess that's living in Canada. So this project's going to have to wait a little bit until spring, unfortunately. So then winter hit and I had to wait. But slowly the snow started to melt. Then in the spring it was time to get to work again. I finished restacking the small rocks, then filled the pond back up. Next I put in the electric pump and ran the hose to the top of the rock pile. With the pump powered up and Waterfall running, I decided to install some solar powered lights to light up the pond and waterfall. Finally, I carried over the remainder of the rocks and arranged a border along the outside of the pond. So this is what we have so far. And here it is in the evening with the lights on. And here's the final result. I stacked the rock tower even higher and wider and added a little duck friend. Then I adjusted the lights so they make the waterfall glow as well. Well, that's going to be it for this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.